Alright lads, so today starting a new series on the channel, we are going to be once more attempting the very hard difficulty of Guild Quest, this time though only using special move level 1 out of 5 characters. And by that I mean level 10 attack and also level 10 SP. Keep in mind though, in some cases throughout this series I am going to be using a character that is already 5 out of 5, so my summon will be doing a tad bit extra damage compared to a normal 1-5 character, but for the most part they are still performing on the same line in terms of damage output, mainly on the strong attacks, since I will be removing their transcendent slots, focus, attack, SP for example. So outside of the sub-1 damage, the characters are basically performing the same. Now for our first video in this series, we are currently tackling the ranged very hard ARRANCAR Guild Quest. And in this case, it's one of the more easy ones since we do have access to a lot of good characters, a lot of good preview characters. Most importantly, 7th Anniversary Ichigo. It's easily going to be one of the best characters for this particular Guild Quest, because other than him, there really isn't that many other good options. But 7th Anniversary Ichigo is going to be an ideal character here since he does have a tracking vortex with paralysis and also weakening. He does have a good damage output thanks to his SP boost. And he's also immune to every stat element, which he can give to your team. And that's important because a lot of times you might want to use someone like Luna Rukia, who unfortunately, despite being made for this Guild Quest, does not have any burn immunity. So we're going to be using him in our first team. Alongside that, we have 1000 Year Blood War Aizen, the best normal attack damage character in the game, and if you have him, this quest becomes even easier. And the reason for that is because he does provide your team with a barrier and also boosts. And boosts are very important in both the very hard and even hard difficulty of Guild Quest. These enemies, more specifically the bosses, have a high defense stat. And for you to do damage with your normal attacks, you need to have a higher attack stat than their defense stat. And on your screen is the defense stat for both the hard difficulty and also the very hard difficulty. Now in the case of very hard, all the bosses have 4500 defense. So when you are using normal attack damage characters like Aizen, you need to have above 4500 attack. And one way again to do that is by using a boost character. But of course you also need to get the character to level 10 attack on Transcendent slot and level 20 link slots. Alongside that, provide him some good links, potentially some transcended links, and make sure for bonus abilities they give him full stamina and also attack. It's a new bonus ability to help out your NAD characters to do more damage, and it's very important you had down any character you are using in this particular quest. Now since Aizen is going to be our main normal attack damage dealing character, we are giving him normal attack damage links. And for our first character, we have Luna Rukia. Once more, another good normal attack damage character with the ARRANCAR killer. Does more damage in Guild Quests, and also has a boost SA2. In that case though, she has a booster boost SA2, so instead of providing 33% extra attack, focus, and defense, it's a 43% extra attack, focus, and defense. And in her case, since we are going to be in this quest for longer than 20 seconds, we're giving her recharge and also full stamina links. Recharge is perfectly fine here, but if we can potentially keep her at full stamina, then she's getting that extra bit of damage output alongside with the recharge so she can stack the boost. But going into the run, the first thing that you probably want to do with Ichigo when you are using him is stand on the stats element pool so Rukia can get the burn immunity, right? Because otherwise you're going to lose that full stamina that you might have given her through links or bonus abilities. Now in this case, using your strong attacks whenever they are available is something that you definitely want to do. And what you should be aiming for is to have an SA2 or an SA3 available when you go into the next wave. That way you can clear up all the little mini mobs that are around you and only focus on the boss. Clearing up the mobs as fast as possible is something that you also want to do because you want your two NAD characters to do most of the damage and you want them to focus on the main boss for each particular wave. So you'll see here what we've been doing is using our SA2 and SA3 when available. Sometimes maybe stall out a couple of seconds, wait for that SA2 or SA3 to come back. And what we did in this particular run is we used our Soulbomb right away. And in the case of Aizen, you should not be doing that. Aizen has an increased chance to inflict weakening, and when he inflicts the stat he gets an 80% attack boost. Since the final boss is a speed character, what you should do is wait for Aizen to get the attack boost, then use your Soul Bomb. That way Aizen is doing more damage, but in this case, even though we are only using 1 out of 5 characters, we had like 18 seconds to spare. We had a lot of extra time. But, you know, had we gotten Aizen to get his attack boost, I'm not exactly sure if he even got it throughout the entire quest. I'm sure he maybe got it once. But depending on how often he gets the attack boost, the clear time should be significantly faster. And even if my links are maybe too good, maybe you have worse links, for example, or maybe even worse accessories. I mean, given the fact that we had like upwards 20 seconds to spare, you might be able to do it even with worse accessories and or links. But what if you don't have 1000 Year Blood War Aizen? Well, in this case, we have another substitute here. In this case, the character that was most recently featured on the end of my banner, that being the hidden version of Noritora. He's a premium character. He's someone that you might not have access to now, but definitely will be getting him in the future, right? Maybe even dupes of him. And the more dupes of this character you get, the better he becomes, because he is actually a good character in this particular guild quest, mainly due to the fact that he does have a pretty high normal attack damage output, but even more damage in guild quests. The build for Noritora is going to be the exact same, and again, bonus abilities are going to include full stamina, stamina, and also plus 200 attack. So jumping into the Noitora run then, right? The difference here with this particular team is that we now no longer have barriers. So ideally, you want to play even more careful here with the SA2 and SA3 usage. Ideally, you want to make sure you're attacking the enemies right off the get-go when the enemies do decide to spawn in. You can see here, though, in this particular run that Noitora and Rukia already lost their full stamina damage. So maybe even giving them attack and focus as bonus abilities might be something you want to do because, yeah, they basically lose the full stam almost instantly. But the run in this case is going to be the exact same, right? We're going to use our strong attacks when they are available, keep the enemies in place. Third boss, Lolly, is going to be an easy boss since we do have attribute advantage. And status armor proccing is quite consistent with Ichigo since we do have the tracking vortex. Although in this case, as I do say that, we didn't get a status proc until right at the end. And we also kind of wasted the SA2 here. But this run is kind of an example of a bad run too. We took a lot of damage, myself included. You don't want to take damage whatsoever when you are maining the character. In this case, 7th anniversary Ichigo. And Rukia and Noitora almost did die, but we still had around 10 or so seconds to spare, which can definitely go up to maybe 15 seconds had I used my strong attacks better. Maybe if I got lucky with my status and procs. And maybe if I didn't take damage, we would have cleared a tad bit faster. But still, a respectable clear time. Not using any super limited characters here. Rukia's been out in the game for a while. 7th anniversary Ichigo has been in the game for some time. And Noitora, while you might not have access to him, he is a premium character. You definitely will get him later down the line. Now, for my third team, and this is definitely a weird team to say the least. We are using once more 7th anniversary Ichigo. There's no better character than him. But now we're using only one normal attack damage character with kill effect. That being a rock killer. And in this case, we're using a Fierce Battle Kisuke that came out around 3 or so years ago. And with that, because he is so old, we have left him with 1000 focus. So he's technically 2-5 here, 500 attack, 1000 focus. And that definitely does make a difference here, I will say. Build is the exact same as Rukia. Golden Chappy Chappy Hollow Bait with normal attack damage soul traits. Bonus abilities include full stamina and attack. And the second character we are using here, and the main reason why we have given Kisuke focus stat, is Misaki. Now, she's 5-5, but her stats don't matter. She's not here to do damage. She's only here to boost our attack. And we could use any character here. We could even use Maid Orihime. She would have been much better, actually. But the idea for Misaki on the team is to showcase that you just have to bring any ranged character with a boost SA2. Regardless if they have killer, it doesn't matter. So her stats, her build really doesn't matter, but we have given her recharge just so she can stack that boost even faster. And jumping into our third run here, I will say this one is definitely against the clock. Any extra DPS that you can give to your characters is very important here. For example, if Ichigo had level 10 focus as well as the level 10 SP, it would make a massive difference here. But the team did beat it on its second attempt, so I would like to think it is somewhat consistent. But more than ever, especially as we saw the other teams, you want to make sure you are constantly applying the stat augments, and you want to make sure you have some type of strong attack ready, mainly the SA2 or SA3, going into the next wave. In this particular wave, on the Lottie stage, we unfortunately didn't have a SA2 or SA3 ready, and that meant that Kisuke was kind of wasting a bit of DPS, but that's honestly fine since that particular boss was a hard character where me and Kisuke were also doing more damage. Onto Sansan, we did apply the SP boost, so therefore we applied the weakening and also paralysis, and at that point, you know, Kisuke is doing his damage. Going into the fifth wave, we have 15 seconds to spare. I was contemplating not using my soul bomb, but you know, the guaranteed proc is too good. You have to use it when you can, mainly against the final boss. And in this case, after our SA2 does go off, we have 5 seconds to spare, and we actually beat it. So that just goes to show that even when we're nerfing ourselves quite heavily here, only using one normal attack damage character as a DPS with 7th anniversary Ichigo, and the DPS character that we were using, Fierce Battle Kisuke, came out over like 3 years ago. Replace Kisuke with 1000 Year Battle Aizen, replace him even with Noitora, and your clear time's going to get a lot better. And again, as I already mentioned, had we given Ichigo level 10 focus, maybe you have that, that's going to make the run even easier because at that point you're then doing more damage since you are getting guaranteed criticals. But alongside that, the boost character that we did use, Misaki, wasn't even a booster boost, so we were getting less stats. There's definitely ways to improve in this team, but it was still a team that was able to beat it nonetheless. Now for our final team, and I will be truthfully honest, this team does not work, but maybe it's an example of what not to do. So in this case, I wanted to use a character other than 7th anniversary Ichigo, but again, there's not that many great options if I'm being honest. The crowd control you get from Ichigo is just too good, and is almost unreplaceable. But in this case, we did decide to use Asashiro because he does have a decent damage output, very similar to Ichigo, to a lesser degree though. Alongside that, our main DPS is Noitora, again, good DPS character for this particular Guild Quest week, and we also do have Rukia as our main booster. Now, the problem with this team, which you will see right away, is when we have no crowd control. There is no crowd control for this team. Nothing is protecting our characters, but we were kind of lucky in this particular run since most of the bosses, I think upwards to the 4th boss, were all focusing on me. So I was able to flash step away, keep my distance, and because they never got a chance to attack me, they never unfocused on my as the Sheeran. That gave time for Noritora and also Rukia to do their DPS. But once more, since we aren't bringing 7th anniversary Ichigo, Rukia is now not immune to burn. She is taking burn damage. She's losing her full stamina. She's getting closer to being defeated. But again, the lack of crowd control is definitely noteworthy here. Had we replaced Rukia with 1000-year Blood War Aizen, maybe the team would have done it. Because in that case, we would have had the barriers. Our team would have stayed at full stamina. But using Noritora and also Aizen in the same team is kind of tough to balance your accessories, especially as a newer account. But I guess the main goal to show here is that sometimes it's okay not to beat the quest. What you ideally want to strive for in any particular phase is getting to the 5th boss, regardless if you beat it or not. Because while yes, when you do beat a particular guild quest phase, you do get upwards to 40 orbs, right? If you can't beat it though, but you get into the 5th boss, even if you don't damage the 5th boss, but you get into it, you do get access to the 30 orbs from this particular phase. So if you can't beat any particular guild quest, your next best thing should be getting into the final boss, because if you do that, then you get the next best rewards. But yeah, this team overall, not really too good. Main problem with it was the lack of crowd control. ARRANCAR as a lead isn't really that good here. And had we been given some barriers, maybe the team would have worked. Maybe replace Rukia for someone like Mana or Rahime. But with that said, lads, that was the video for today, trying out some different teams in the very hard difficulty of guild quests, showcasing that you can beat the quest with only 1 out of 5 characters, albeit my character links were quite good here. There are some obviously compensating that you can do. You know, when you're using a base character, especially with level 1 out of 5, especially characters that came out years ago, you know, it's kind of expected you have level 10 SP, level 20 link slots, maybe some good accessories, maybe some good links. But at the same time, with some of the teams that we were using here, we had quite a bit of extra time left over, where maybe those links didn't matter all too much. But either way, hope you guys did enjoy the video. In the comments below, let me know what team you lads are using. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them. And I'll see you guys next time. Take care and peace.